Hello, 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 everybody. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Uh-oh, this is the one I want. There we go. Hello, welcome to Lost Initiative, the Wednesday show. A little bit of a different show today. It's not going to be Edge of Morality, as you can clearly see. It's just myself and Scott. But this is going to be an important week because me and Scott have some things we want to touch on. We want to talk to you guys directly. And obviously, if you're watching the VOD or on YouTube, hopefully we answer any and all questions that we've got for you guys. Yeah, it's just kind of something we've been prepping to do for a little while. It's happening this week, though it was supposed to happen next week, I think. But you know, things get pushed and bumped and the like. And
well, last week it was supposed to this week, but last week got canceled because my daughter was
super sick.
Super sick. Yeah. It was and remember, even on Thursday last week, which is the next night, I could hear her crying in the background.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's
it
awful.
Happens.
Yep.
Nothing
you can do.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get into like the brass tacks and all that stuff, how are you doing, Scott? What's up, man?
I'm terrific. Thanks.
I can hear her in the background.
My daughter is literally saying good night to me.
No, go say good night.
Go say good night.
Yeah, it's fine. Hey, chat, how's it going? I'll hang out with you.
Good night, Rory.
So sorry. She said knock knock.
Knock knock. That's
good.
Good.
Sweetheart. It's 9 o'clock. You should be in bed. Guess that's Uncle Mike. Bye.
Good night.
Oh, speaking of the devil.
Hello.
Sorry about that.
Well, she's feeling good though. That's all that's important.
A lot better. But sorry about the sidetrack. You were asking something.
I was just saying, how are you, man? How's things? How you been? Other than Rory obviously being sick for a little bit, but
yeah. Aside from that, throwing me off. I mean, obviously celebrated Christmas.
Yeah.
So lots of fun there, or whatever. But doing well. Yes,
sweet,
doing awesome. Just building campaigns, having fun with it. You know, all that sort of stuff, which is one of the reasons why we're here to chat about the things that we get going on.
Yeah, so, exactly. Did you get anything sweet for Christmas, by the way, or no?
What was that?
Get anything sweet for Christmas?
I mean, my wife and I literally decided that, and this might sound lame, we decided we're not doing anything for each other aside from stockings. Everything was going to the 2-year-old because it's a 2-year-old. So why not make it magical for the little one?
Yeah.
So I got her earrings.
Oh,
I got her some really nice earrings. Nice. I got beef jerky.
Chat says fruitcake sucks. I've never had fruitcake.
Actually, I have a bunch of times. An ex-girlfriend of mine from many years ago that you remember, of course, her father was huge into fruitcake, but not like homemade delicious fruitcake, which I've had and actually isn't bad. I mean like the store-bought garbage stuff that like breaks your teeth when you bite into it.
Oh God.
Every year for Christmas, he would have it on the table and would expect everybody to take a small piece. Like he cut, sucks.
Delicious. Well, on that note, a perfect segue into actually why what this stream is all about. So we've got a lot of stuff we want to cover tonight, and just to chat with you guys, and we'll be like reading chat and taking questions from chat. So if you guys have questions or you're worried or anything like that, we're here to really. It's kind of a chill stream. Just feel free to chat away and ask us questions. The first thing I think Scott and I want to address at the very least is more or less saying, hey, we hear you. One of the biggest issues, at the very least recently, and by recently I probably mean like 3-4 months, within the past 3 or 4 months, all encompassing, what is it? The word I'm looking for. Not the regularity. Consistency. That's the word I'm looking for. The consistency of Lost Initiative show, both the Edge of Morality and the Vampire show, has been at best sporadic, at worst non-existent. It has been pretty rough all the way around, and there's no real like blame as to where that goes. Things come up, we can't control it, and we really don't have much of a choice than to bend to whatever circumstances get thrown our way.
Absolutely. I mean, for instance, again, last week I had a very sick kid.
Right.
It happens. One time, I don't remember if I made it that week or not. I was in Maine and a tree fell across.
Yes.
Only road off of the lake that I was at. Literally the only road.
And you were just stuck. Like there's things you can't control.
I think I made it that week though. But
you might. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think I drove home at 3 a.m.
You crazy.
But go ahead.
But yeah, no. I mean, that's the point, right? Like, is the consistency has been while out of our control. It's still something that me and Scott realize is happening, and we've heard people talk about it, and we have talked about it plenty of times. And it's one of the things we want to address. So
Well, fix, not just address. It's something we're going to fix.
Address and fix, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we're just going to sit here and talk about it. Let's fix the problem.
Yeah, so that being said, and us realizing, hey, we have some issues, me and Scott have kind of put our heads together for a little while now and said, well, all right, well, what are our pathways to making this better, to fixing it, to making this more regular? And really it boils down to, I think, what Scott and I has decided is to kind of, in writing the ship, I don't want to say downsize, but really kind of tighten everything up. Take all loose ends and just kind of bring it together and tighten everything up. And that's going to basically result in what is a channel reboot. For the most part, staying Lost Initiative.
As the Lost Initiative show is still be around, still be math is nice, so on and so forth. It'll be a slight restructuring. So the way that's kind of going to play out in its infancy at first is more or less Edge of Morality for now is going to come to a halt. The game, as you are caught up, has come to a point where they went into the past. They got all this crazy amount of information. They've come back to the future. To more or less be like, okay, there's actually a breaking point. We're going to stop here for a little while. Totally Campaign, we're going to revisit, and Totally Campaign, we're going to revisit with the cast members that were part of it beforehand. But that will be revisited later on in like chunks to make sure that we can finish up the stories. And we're going to be like, 5-7 week periods, 4 week periods, whatever it might be that we all discussed at the time to finish that up as chunks moving forward. Okay?
Yeah.
The Thursday game, which is currently going on right now, has a few weeks left to that story, and we're going to play out that story to its fullest extent and make sure that's played out entirely. Starting effectively this week, but moving forward, we're going to have one live D&D show going every week. And I believe we're doing that on Wednesday nights. We're going to confirm that, of course, as we finish buttoning up all the details. One live D&D show going on every week, I believe, on Wednesdays. And then Thursday, assuming that Wednesday's when we play, there'll be a game. There'll be the night when Mathis and I are actually hanging around and playing stuff together. So Lost Initiative will still be live. It won't be tabletop contents directly. We might be playing like video games, or if the case may be, or just sitting around and literally shooting the shit, which is kind of what we're going to move into soon, later on tonight. So again, slight structure change, one campaign for a short while, while we kind of like fix things back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you were saying?
Yep. I mean, a lot of it too, if you want to go to more nitty gritty, is like the Edge of Morality, especially like one of the reasons that's just been so wishy-washy as far as when we're live and we're not. You got to think a lot of the biggest issue with that show in general right now is just a lot of the cast members are either gone, like Bear left, characters have died. A lot of like what the core of that show has kind of, we've all kind of gone separate ways. Rye, with Sam going on a trip and basically being gone for a month and a half. It's made it very difficult for us to kind of keep a focus on that. So, like Scott said, when hopefully we'll what the plan is going to be, because Bear has agreed to it, is to get the four of us together and basically, like you said, in chunks, kind of finish that up.
Yeah. It's the issue is that keeping that campaign going every single solitary week is not going to feel like the game that all of us have grown to love, and right. I don't want to just make something happen. And I mean, you and I, Mike, and everybody else has invested so much emotion into it. Yeah. You don't want some like peddled season 7 garbage just so Buffy can be on another year. Like, I'm sorry, she died. Why'd you bring her back? That season was hell. Why did we have to live through it? Yes, we all got the musical episode, but besides that, we don't want that. Okay, we want to feel like this is something that we're all enjoying doing, and so we're going to have that in smaller chunks moving forward.
Yeah, we don't want to just continue it every week for the sake of saying we have what's going on. Don't worry, it's still going every week, and kind of drag it out for as long as possible. But Scott's...
So what we've been able to do to button up things, because you're like, well, how do you know with a new show, with this new show that you're putting on, how do you know you won't have these same problems? Well, in case you weren't aware, over on my channel, that's /Daleric, I do a bunch of other tabletops over there, and I kind of use that as like my testing grounds, like my area where I can play with things, find out what kind of like works and doesn't work. And so when I feel my success is happening over there, I can port them into Lost Initiative and make them successful over here, right? So it's kind of like how things go. And one of the things that I love doing over there, it's been a tremendous success for me, has been when someone can't make it, we play anyways. Like every week we play, even if one person doesn't show up. How or why? I mean, I don't like the idea in a big long-term campaign of just Scott role-playing, Bear's character. I think it's floppy. I think it's flimsy. We all know what happens when I play Rye's voice, right? It's awful. So instead, we do like a side campaign that takes place inside the world, impacts the overall campaign without being the same characters. So let's say, for instance, let's give you an example. If we were playing Edge of Morality, taking place in Faerun, primarily on Sword Coast North to Sword Coast Central, we could have a second side campaign that would pay, we'll call it an evil party, taking place back in Thesk. That plot that we kind of left hanging over in Thesk at the very beginning of the series, we would have a campaign going on over there with all different characters with the same cast to like keep content coming and keeping it exciting and keeping other side plots continuing forward. And that's going to be what we do moving on. Again, something I've been doing for months over there to like tease it out. Go ahead, Mike.
No, that's something that, you know, we've talked about before, is like, well, what do we do when we are missing somebody, especially when they're integral to the story, right? Like where we're on a chapter that super heavily focuses on that particular person and they're not here. What do we do? I think the side story is the answer to that. So I'm excited to do that. And there's something to announce, not announce, but to address as well. Those side stories will have a different DM as well. So it'll be like, if Scott is DMing the main campaign, the side campaign that happens in like during the off time where somebody can't make it, I'll be the DM of, and I'll be running that particular thing, and kind of give some kind of flavor or variety to that. And I think
it's the same world, exactly. Same world, more flavor. Go ahead.
Yep. No, I mean that's pretty much how we're gonna make sure that at the very least, you know, our Wednesday campaign, again, assuming the Wednesdays are gonna be happening every week, regardless. The reason we're going to be cutting Thursdays altogether is just mostly like it's too. One of the things you have to understand about the show is that everybody who plays is playing out of the kindness. We don't pay anybody. It's all the kindness of the heart. We're playing with friends. They're here for us. So if they can't make it, we're not gonna be like, you're supposed to be here, motherfucker. Like, why are you not here? You're supposed to be playing with us. They got to go do their own thing. They got to go do their own thing. Running 2 campaigns with basically voluntary players means it's gonna be more irregular than not, for one reason or another. So I'm excited to, you know, instead of doing like a campaign on Thursdays, hopefully we will do that again at some point, kind of playing like Divinity 2 or something with Scott. I think Divinity 2 would be a really good pickup. I think Scott would love Divinity 2 in general, but we want to make sure this
God, so I mean,
hilarious. Yeah, I think that's kind of ideal in the way we're going to end up restructuring it. So the question then is like, okay, well, what are you guys going to play on Wednesdays? Well, we're still in the talk about it phase as to what we end up, or what the campaign setting is going to be on Wednesdays. I know
what Mike wants to play.
Yeah, I really want to try Star Wars again. Like, I love that system. It's
a really good system too.
Yeah, it's such a fun system. It's an easy system once you understand what the symbols mean. But I think right now it's up between Star Wars and just like a D&D setting, like just a typical D&D.
Oh, I don't know if it'll be a typical D&D setting. I think we're going to move on from a typical D&D no matter what, and we're going to do something that's going to be fun and different. So whether it be Fantasy Flight Games or White Wolf, or
there's a bunch of fun rule systems. Yeah. That's going to be that's going to be up in the air once we have our cast set. That's
a lot of people requesting Shadowrun.
I hear Shadowrun. I know Shadowrun as a setting personally, but I hear that the rule system is super number crunchy. Is like
it all depends on how you want to play, man. It all depends on how you want to play. So Shadowrun can be obnoxious. It can be simple. The big thing is, like, if you're going to get into Shadowrun, you have to understand that just like you can jump into Faerun and be like, here's my plot in this pre-existing world, and we're going to avoid all of the history there. Or you can be like, all right, let's talk history. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
There's like novels and novels and novels
of course.
Of history. And it's one of those things where, do you focus on that, or do you pretend like it never existed in the first place?
And who knows? Maybe some random rule system will catch one of our eyes and be like, we want to try this. Like, this seems really cool.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of coming down to hammering down the details for what we're doing.
Yeah. Once we have our cast put together, we'll have a cast announcement as we always do. We're working on that right now and seeing we definitely know Maggie's going to be around, but that's because Maggie just, you know, is awesome and definitely hangs out for that kind of thing. But the other two we're working on, if Sam's going to stick around, or we're going to have to replace 2 people, we're working on it. And when we know, you'll know. And there'll be a video or a tweet or both for both of them. I'm excited though, just for that. And as far as DMs are concerned, I think we're mostly settled on Scott being the DM for the Wednesday campaign. And somebody asked, are we going to move Thursdays to Wednesdays for now? No, we're going to keep Thursdays. The Thursday campaign has maybe, I'd say at most 3 more weeks, but probably 2.
We'll fill it out.
Yeah, it'll be done when it's done.
We're not going to push it. We're not going to push it.
Right. We're gonna take care of that. We're gonna wrap that story up, and keep that thing a rolling. Other than that, there was something else I wanted to say, but I lost it. It was in my head, and now it's gone, and I cannot remember. So if you want to say something,
ideas in your head.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's surprising.
Well, so one of the things that we're going to be doing on Wednesdays for the interim, while you're finishing up that campaign over there, and while we're hammering out the details for what we're going to be doing Wednesdays, is kind of like world building, sitting around, hanging out, doing that kind of stuff. So more or less stuff like this, but actually like pointed, this is what we're working on today, and this is what we're going to be doing. So instead of just like us sitting here and bullshit, and it's going to have like a direction to what it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
So, and then of course we announced in advance, and so that pretty much, I think we could stop hammering away at what's happening Wednesday and Thursday, because we pretty much just covered that. Please, again, feel free to ask questions. We'd be more than happy to answer questions for you. If you have suggestions of systems, other than Shadowrun, or started like 53 times, I'll be more than happy to take suggestions. You can always whisper them to me too.
Yeah.
I do accept whispers, so you feel free to whisper a system to me if you think it would be a cool idea for us to do it that way, so on and so forth. So again, we're open to options. I have a really cool Cthulhu idea I want to do.
Yeah,
that
was something I wanted to touch on. Something that we've been talking about doing. I mean, for a little while now, more seriously, more recently, is more. I don't want to call them one shots, but short, like episodic campaigns with guest DMs and the like. And Cthulhu, the reason it reminded me because it's Cthulhu, because the Cthulhu idea came from you, and you wanna do that. Would love to do that. Those could be basically when those roll around. The way I see that happening is it'll happen on a day of the week that works for everybody. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. If it works better for everybody on a Tuesday, it'll be on a Tuesday. But it'll be a short run, like 2 to 4 week, kind of just like hot like story, more or less. High action, high intrigue, wrapped up pretty quickly. The other thing that I want to touch on, and I know you want to touch on as well, for those who are Patreon supporters of the show, with the overhaul of the channel, and the channel being kind of just rebooted sometime in mid-January, I think is when we're looking to kind of hit the ground running again. The Patreon is going to be completely reworked. So if you're a Patreon supporter, obviously we'll throw out an announcement on Patreon for you and all that stuff. But the Patreon in and of itself is going to be rather heavily reworked. Simplified, I think, is what we've agreed on. Cutting some of the tiers, condensing some of the tiers, keeping some of the things that we have on there and making sure we get them out. But just really kind of, much like we're tightening up the show, tightening up the Patreon as well.
Everything's going to be restructured and so on and so forth to make that stuff kind of happen. So one of the suggestions that was thrown out there is XCOM, because I'm literally working, just like I wrote, and I'm almost done writing my rules for doing a Mass Effect system. And so I'm running I'm almost on my second season of Mass Effect over there, and I'm about to start my 3rd season. I'm working on rules for running an XCOM game. So that'll be fun. So Mike. Actually, I was in a conversation on Christmas. Just side note, I was talking to one of Brittany's uncles who's like, new to technology, but like he remembers technology from before, and he's like new to it again. Brittany's my wife, and he was like, I was like, oh, what video games you used to play back in the day? He's like, oh, I love the XCOM games. He's like, oh, check out Xenonauts, and I was actually showing him videos of you playing Xenonauts from back in the day, and I was like, nope, fuck it, I'm buying the game. I gotta play Xenonauts. Like I want that old XCOM feel. None of this garbage 4-person sneaking around thing. I want it.
The new XComs are phenomenal though. They're so good.
Sure. For a reimagining of an old game, sure. But if you want XCOM, you play Xenonauts.
Yeah, I mean, like Xenonauts is the closest to old school time units and stuff. Obviously, Xenonauts. God, that game's even old now. It's like 2 or 3 years old.
3 years old. I think it came out in 2014, so almost 4 years old now.
Yeah. I'm curious how you would do a tabletop XCOM role-playing game. Like, where would the role-playing come from at that point?
So it's kind of funny. Do you actually want to hear like the?
No, yeah,
the
throw, because I'm trying to think of it.
It's actually a multi-scope thing. So every session, because sessions are 4 hours long. Every session you open up with base management. So more or less from the end of last session to the beginning of the session, in game a month has passed, and so what you've set at the end of last session to use your resources on, more or less randomized charts take over what happens over the course of the month, just like in XCOM, when you press go and like the month starts to fly and the time starts to fly by or whatever, and it comes to the beginning of this month. At the beginning of this month, you have, okay, here's your mission report, or here's your report of what happens during like that time. How do you handle it? So each one of the PCs more or less has 2 characters that they're in control of. One character is like their administration character. So for instance, you might be the person that's the head of the science division. She might be the person that's the head of the engineering division. She might be the person that's the head of the budgeting division, or whatever the case may be. And so it's like a quick little budgeting thing that you guys kind of argue out or whatever and play. And then it goes into the actual missions. You guys get to choose what missions you want to go on based off of, again, it's an XCOM game. And then your 4 characters that you have go down into the game. And that's fun because characters die all the time.
Yeah.
So it's very episodic. There's a lot of like a high death rate. The missions are very tough feeling. But the missions, because you're not playing a fucking video game, aren't just like, hey, let's move turn by turn and go and shoot a thing. Missions are more than just that. You're going to be going and getting high value targets and getting information from them. There's going to be a lot of RP involved, more than just let's sneak around and hope that we kill Alien first.
Yeah. Have you ever checked out the XCOM board game? I hear it's amazing. Maybe there's some ideas to be yanked from that.
I played XCOM as a tabletop game because my dad DM'd it for me or GM'd it for me through GURPS when I was like,
oh dang.
You know what I mean? And that's literally what we did is it was a
GURPS
type of game. Well, yeah, GURPS, I mean, whatever, but you can do anything in GURPS.
I was talking about GURPS actually on my last stream I did, where I was just hanging out, because I was talking about all my old SSI like computer RPGs. And people were talking about role-playing systems, and GURPS came up, and there was a couple people who were freaking out, like how much they love GURPS. I'm like, you get along with my friend.
GURPS is amazing. It really is. If you do it well. Somebody suggests play D20 Modern. I would rather never play D&D again.
I would try Dark Heresy. It's a D100 system.
Sure, I'm not. Dark Heresy is perfectly fine because that's your Warhammer feel.
Warhammer, yeah,
you know
40, I mean? Warhammer 40K, yeah.
But I'm saying that D20 Modern. Do you remember playing D20 Modern games?
I never played a D20.
You never did.
Nope. I saw the books, and I've gone through the books multiple times just because you own them. But I have never played a D20 Modern.
No, they're all in my closet. I only have my GURPS books here. My Faerun, Eberron, and basic.
It's so hard to turn gunplay into a dice system because guns are just so lethal. It's like really hard to like turn. I can't see like a modern world working in a D20 rule set. Other rule sets make sense to me, like D10, because it's just basically success or failure. There's no like damage associated with a bullet. It's just like you shot them, you do, however much success and lethal damage, and like 3 hits and you're basically on the ground. But D20 is like, it's so rules heavy. How would D20 Modern really even work? Well,
so I mean, if you want to hear my opinion on how way combat works in Dungeons & Dragons, go over to patreon.com/Delric and check out my podcast. Now, I bitch about that shit all the time, but combat in D&D fucking sucks. It's awful. I hate how unrealistic it is. I hate the fact that you can have a fighter with 72 health points running down a battlefield, getting pincushioned by 100 fucking arrows, and come out with 3 health points on the other side and be like, I got this, and still kill people with arrows sticking out of you like a cartoon character. It makes no sense. It bothers the shit out of me. And so D&D is the most flawed system when it comes to any form of combat. But
yeah, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that.
Because I use Stars Without Number to do it in my Mass Effect system. And the way I do it in there is, you've played the Mass Effect video game before. There's not just health points. You also have shields in that game too. Yeah. So that's the way that I kind of do that. So we play on Roll20. Of course, because Roll20 is amazing. And you have your 3 health bars, which are color-coded to your convenience. We use red for your health points, we use blue for your shields, and then green we actually use for your armor. But armor doesn't work the way it did like in Mass Effect. When you play the video game, you have to burn through it like a health bar. Armor is like a soak, like a
Gotcha.
damage reduction, right?
Yeah.
So let's say if you're wearing medium armor and it has a DR6, you take 15 points of damage. Your shields are reduced by the 15. Get hit same exact thing next time. You have 5 left in your shields. Those are now gone. You know, you have 6 in your soak or whatever. So if the remaining 10, that's gone. You lose 4 health points out of your 8 health. You're fucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I didn't even think like about that as far as just like, you know, constantly being fine. Like the warrior example, which is after losing 70 health points, still being fine. There's something I didn't realize World of Darkness does. Like when you hit a certain threshold, you take -1s, -2s, and -3s to represent that you're hurt.
Every time you take a hit in GURPS, you have to make a dex save. Otherwise, you lose your turn or have penalties on your turn. And when you take enough hits, you start taking penalties. Wow, wait, you're meaning to tell me that when a dude punches me in the face 15 times, I start to lose a little coordination? What? What kind of...
Oh man. That's funny. I it didn't even click. Like I forgot. Just because D&D is just the way I accept D&D for what it is. Like it's great in a lot of aspects and not so great in other aspects. But I don't think there's really a perfect rule system out there.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Like I said, that's why you kind of like you can cherry pick your arguments like you can with anything. You
Yeah,
know
of
what I mean?
course.
So
like the D10 system has. I mean, World of Darkness has a billion problems as well.
Yeah,
like you could argue they're too vague.
Mathis is my absolute favorite streamer ever. But you know what? He burps on stream like a lot. So you know what I mean? Like
a lot. I mean,
you could cherry pick your arguments
once or twice a stream. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Just saying, just once or twice. It's not that big a deal.
A phone call.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could cherry pick anything. So
the
D20 modern, we wouldn't do that, but we could find a system to do a more modern game. I'll be honest with you though, Mike. For the whatever upcoming game we want to do, I don't know if I wouldn't want to do just a standard D&D campaign.
Yeah,
I would want to do this something like with the vampire game. I like the idea. Like I love the idea of those kind of worlds because they're so well. That's why I like Eberron, right? Like, I love Eberron.
Yeah.
It's my favorite system in D&D, my favorite world in D&D, because there's more to it than just there's so much intrigue soaked into the world. And obviously you can build your own campaign with intrigue, but there's so much intrigue already soaked into it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
I mean, that's another system I'm eager to read about, and I haven't really messed with yet. I don't know if you've heard, it's new, it's not even a year old, it's called Blades in the Dark.
Somebody actually whispered that to me about 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
so
seriously?
shout out to Wolf in the Inferno for already saying that to me.
Yep. Blades in the Dark is another one that has like a very lore soaked noir world, but it's like it reminds me of Eberron-ish. It's a mix of fantasy and magic and technology. It's like steampunky, I think.
Oh, that's funny because I was literally, I don't know what that is, by the way. I haven't Googled it yet. I was literally thinking, and I think you and I have talked about this game before, because it's one of my favorite role-playing games growing up. Arcanum?
I have the box over there.
There's a chick on the box, and did you ever play that game?
No, it's something I plan on playing and like reviewing at some point.
It's one of my favorite games. I fucking loved that game growing up. Even the simple things like you walk into a bar, like you can make your characters wear different clothes. You walk into an establishment with no clothes on, and they treat you like a fucking barbarian because of kind of like a GURP system. It's just have a charisma score. You also have like an appearance score or like a reaction score. So anyways, in the Arcanum game, it's steampunk magic. It's a really cool system. I love the idea of it. It's more steampunky than Eberron is, though, like a lot more.
Yeah, that's Arcanum.
I love that game. It was one of my childhood favorites. It is so good.
This is Troika. They went out of business.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to interrupt you, then I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah.
Recap of the announcements. Edge of Morality is going on pause. Lost Initiative is finishing up the Vampire the
Bloodlust
game. Bloodlust game that we're doing. We're going down to one show each week while maintaining the second night of the week. Mathis and I hanging out playing video games, maybe Divinity, maybe something else.
Yeah.
And then later on we'll re-expand and so on and so forth, but that's going to take time. It's a little restructuring.
More or less. No, I was just saying this is developed by Troika. They went out of business. They're the people who did Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That was their last RPG before they went out. This was before that. This has got to be in the 90s, would be my guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like we're talking like 98, 97, somewhere in that frame.
Somewhere around there.
That's top of my head. I mean, we can Google it, but
beautiful artwork.
Oh, I love that game. If I remember, that game also had a nifty teleportation system. This is, again, we're going back like 20 years memory. A nifty teleportation system where I think you had like 4. So you had a recall spell and you had like a drop spell. And so you can, like, as your spell increased, you have up to 4 different places where you can drop a marker. And then when you cast recall, it would bring you to one of your 4 markers. So you kind of have to be smart about where you place your markers so that you can, like, get to areas quickly. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with the concept from World of Warcraft. You know what I mean?
Yep, Hearthstoning.
Yep. So
I'm actually going to grab the Blades in the Dark book actually as we speak.
What was that?
I'm going to grab the Blades in the Dark book as we speak.
Oh,
I'm just
sure.
gonna grab it. So those are the announcements, recaps for more or less as to, you know, the big changes that are coming. Basically, show's not going anywhere. Along with that, we're gonna have new artwork, a new overlay for when the show is ready. As for when we're aiming, I know we kind of touched on it very quickly, but to be more specific, we're looking at like second or third week of January. I stumble and stutter there because PAX South is the second week of January, so it'll be the third week probably is when we go for the reboot, because I'm going to be flying out on the 10th and returning on the 16th, so it'll be the week that following week, maybe the 17th if everything's all good to go.
All I know is on the 12th I'm supposed to go see a Whitney Houston's Bodyguard. I was like, whoa, Whitney Houston's in a musical? I thought she was dead. And why do people care about her bodyguard? And everybody was just like, I was like, oh, okay. My mommy wants to bring me to a musical, and I was like, okay. I actually love musicals, so
yeah, have fun with it.
That's the excitement of my life. Where are you flying to?
I'm going to San Antonio for PAX South. That's where I'm going to be.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. You'll see some cool peeps there, anyways. So.
Yeah. PAX South is really fun. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
What else is there that we wanted to touch on? That's about, it's already been about a half hour, which is what we kind of expected.
Just continuing with different systems, because the Arcanum game that you're playing there, that's a system that I personally would run just because of how it works. I would run that through GURPS, you know what I mean? Unless there was already somebody else that went out there and did the work and published the game that they're like, this is the best system for doing this kind of a game. I would probably run that through like a GURPS to make it work well.
It sounds like it's a GURPS style game. It's 8 basic stats and classless point-based attribute system. Sounds GURPSy.
Well, GURPSy is not that.
It's not point-based?
Well, it is point-based, but GURPS doesn't have 8 stats.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, GURPS is you could say 4 stats, because you have strength, dex, IQ. So it's ST, DX, IQ, and HT.
Gotcha.
So it's 4 stats. Yeah.
Right. I forgot about
and then
that.
your HP and your fatigue work off of those, and those are buildable individual things, and every skill is buildable and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Who cares? So I'd probably work it off of that if we were to do that kind of game. But it all depends on, who we finish getting for our show and what they.
Preferences from them in the we won't know specifically until we have our group put together. When we do, there'll be a big announcement for that, and you'll see what that happens. But like it's Scott's our big thing right now is to even when there's no games going, to make sure that there's still a show every week, whether it's just me and Scott hanging out talking about campaigns.
To answer Mem, because obviously we're again, any questions, feel free to throw them in. We're more than happy to answer them. I don't want to say AMA because some things you just don't want answers to.
Yeah.
But yes, we are taking suggestions for games. Totally throw them inside chat here, but also if it's a system specifically, whisper it to me to make sure I can look it up to take it as an actual consideration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was I? Sorry.
People are saying like Blades is so well designed, so I'm excited just to see it.
Cool. Oh, I was just because I'm playing Dark Souls, the first one right now, and I love the world. So I've been saying for a while now I would love to do like a a game, shorter lived game set in the world of Borderlands. I thought that'd be a fun thing to do.
God, I hate
with the different
Borderlands.
heroes. You don't like Borderlands?
I hate the world. It fucking annoys me.
Oh, see, I think the problem is that the world is too goofy to take seriously.
Yeah.
But you, the premise of the world and all that stuff, like you can see that there's so much that you can work off of. You just have to take it like it's groundwork. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a base there for sure. I'm curious how you're.
It's like an R.A. Salvatore book. You know what I mean? It's not exactly moving or reinventing the wheel, moving the earth or whatever. But there's a lot of base there you can use to come up with great stories.
How are you enjoying Dark Souls, Scott?
I fucking love it.
That's good. I'm surprised.
Yeah. At first, like there are some clips of me not able to breathe because my head was cherry red and I was very angry. But then it's just a steep learning curve.
I was gonna say, once you learn the game's language more or less, you know how it plays. Then the games are all fantastic.
The only thing I haven't learned is parrying. Once I learn parry or post, then the game is going to be even easier.
Yeah,
so,
parrying. I mean, I went through all 3 games without mastering parrying at all. Like you don't even need it, but. No, I agree. I love the way they do the world in Dark Souls because you don't have to learn anything about that world if you don't want to. The world is told through the item descriptions, and if you want to learn about lore, you just got to read the item descriptions of whatever you picked up. And it's super vague, but it's like it gives you just enough to try and maybe like kind of piece it together and to figure out what happened in that world.
Well, I mentioned it because like I was just saying earlier today as I finished my stream of playing Dark Souls, I would totally DM a campaign there, but you can't do a 4-person campaign in a Dark Souls system. Like
no.
it feels awful. I would do like a duo campaign in our Dark Souls world, and that would be a lot of fun. A 3-person campaign is, You know I love small person campaigns. Mike, do you want to do a solo campaign?
No, I hate solo campaigns.
I just sit here, me and you, looking into each other's eyes and just play for hours?
Nope. I could never, like, duo's my minimum. Solo campaigns can get awkward.
Yeah, whoa. They can get awkward because you have experience with it being awkward. I never make it awkward.
Yeah, okay. I think my only solo experience is with you.
That's not true. You did a solo campaign once before.
Did I?
Yes, absolutely. You told me all about it.
Do I remember with who?
I can tell you if you can't remember on your own.
I can't remember.
Took place in your basement at your
with
parents'
Dave?
house. Yes.
Oh, okay. That'd be the only other person it would have been with was with Dave.
I remember the story. How do I remember the story and you don't?
Oh, I don't remember it at all. I love duo campaigns though. Duo campaigns are really, really fun.
My favorite's 3-person.
3-person's great too.
Yep. 3-person campaign is my favorite thing to DM. I think you hit all the nails on the head when you do that. People are suggesting Burning Wheel and Dungeon World.
What is Burning Wheel?
Question.
I know what Dungeon World is, but
as do I.
But I don't know what Burning Wheel is. I'll look it up while you chat. Let's see.
Sure. Are you just asking? Are you giving me free reigns to just open talk?
Whoa, that is a hideous book cover.
It's are you judging a book by its cover?
I am right now. This is horrible looking.
Wow.
Dynamic characters whose very beliefs propel the story.
What if they had a low budget but a really good idea?
It's a simple D6 dice pool mechanic.
It's like playing old Marvel or old Star Wars.
Oh, I actually never played the D6 Star Wars. I played every version except for the very first one. D6 is the only one.
It's broken as shit. Give somebody a lightsaber and the game's over.
That's hilarious. It's like every version of Star Wars except for the newest one, lightsabers are broken beyond repair. And it's like they get better with
it's plasma. You're like, you can wield plasma.
But I mean, like, yeah. I mean, they got better like as the editions went on, but the Jedi were just always super broken.
Yeah, I mean, again, in a world where there is no magic, you're 3.5. Be a god class. Hey, in this world, there are no.
It's like Lord of the Rings and being a wizard, basically. No magic in a world of no magic, and you're the only one with magic.
or low magic, yeah.
Or low magic.
You know, what'd be a really good idea, Mike. You might hate me for suggesting this.
Oh God.
Want to do an Epic 6 campaign?
Oh God, Epic 6.
Yeah, we can do Epic 6. We can do Path Epic 6, so we can do 3.5 Epic 6.
I think that could be fun short campaign.
Epic 6 can't work short, otherwise it's not Epic 6.
Oh well, just start us at 6. And make us gods right out the gate.
Like, what the fuck?
God. I don't know why. I just never really latched onto the idea of it like an Epic 6.
It's because you are already a weak person in real life, and you need to feel strong in your fantasy.
I'll take it. Whatever you want to lay on me as the excuse.
No, so for people that don't understand what Epic 6 campaign is, it comes from the world of 3.0, 3.5, wherein there's something called god classes. Wizards, so it's wizards, clerics, and druids are god classes. These classes, once they hit a certain tier, are more powerful than anything else. There's nothing else can touch them. Literally, it's one of those things where you play a wizard, and a 17th level wizard and 100 20th level fighters come to fight you, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I already literally saw that coming. Why don't I just teleport away and bye? I'm just gonna, go hang out in the astral plane until you die of old age, and I just won the quest. It's like there's like an infinite number of things. Oh, I'm just gonna make you fight me in my demi plane where I can control everything, and they're too powerful. And so the whole idea is that most classes fell way behind casters by like level 5 or 6. So the idea of an Epic 6 campaign is that the entire campaign takes place in a world that's very low magic, like Lord of the Rings low magic. Like, oh, I have a sword that was forged by the dwarves and reforged by the elves. Ha ha ha! It's +1. Woo. The idea of this world, the highest level you could possibly hit is 6. So once you hit 6th level, you cap, you're done. No more gaining levels, because hitting level 7 and 4th level spells is like insanely powerful. But then every 5,000 experience points you gain after hitting level 6, you gain another feat, or you gain a new spell or a new spell slot. So you can continue growing in power, much like Mike, you remember the old Epic handbook kind of doing.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you continue growing in power, but not like tremendously so, not like whole new tiers. And it was actually a really cool balancing way to be a fighter and not be like, I suck, because you just did after level 3. You just like level 3 you're god, level 4 you're like, oh, hey guys, I guess I'll be the tank, I'll open the door because the rogue's smart to do it.
That sounds, I mean, like again, I'm not against the idea if we can get everybody on board for it. I'm not going to be the one guy who's like, no, I refuse. Somebody said the main selling point they can give about burning wheels at the system, that in that system, failing a roll is the best part. Fail a sorcery roll and you just might summon the Angel of Winter. So it's going to be one of those, like, flexible.
No, that's GURPS, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In GURPS, every single solitary thing that you can do is a skill. That works off of a 3d6 system. So every spell that you know is a skill. And so as you build up that skill, let's say your skill level's 10, you have to roll a 3d6. If you roll that number or lower, you succeed. If you roll above that number, you fail. If you roll a 17 or 18, you critical fail. 18 being far worse. Eventually, you can get to a point where 17s are no longer critical fails. You can actually succeed with them. We have to be like skill level, like I think 25 or 27 to make that happen. But that's like, you don't do that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I like those systems. Like, I like those like pass or fail systems, or like interpret it as you will kind of systems. Fantasy Flight again.
But yeah, it's pass or fail, but it's not like. So again, in D&D, I cast Magic Missile. What happens? Magic Missile gets cast.
Yeah. Cool.
I cast Charm. And those systems, it's like, if I remember correctly, I can grab, I think I have 4th edition right over there for it. If you cast a spell like Create Fire, it just tells you that you can create fire. Well, how big of a fire? How much fire? Where can you do it?
Right.
What did you roll? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
So like you were just saying, it's not just like success or failure. It's
everything in between.
Everything in between.
It's a way to show your mastery with the magic. Sure, you can create fire, but you might still be an amateur with magic, so your fire might still be small. Like, yeah, you succeeded, but you didn't succeed by a ton. I love those kinds of systems. I don't like binary pass failure systems. I like the in between, flexible. Like, I love that Fantasy Flight Star Wars is like, you can have a critical success, but you still have disadvantage in there. So like, you succeeded, but you still. There's some fuck-ups that happen along the way.
And so that's again, a flaw in D&D, which is why I tend to do things in D&D where, like, if you fail, you fail. But, like, let's say you're running and you jump and you try to grab the ledge of the cliff across the way, and this is taken from other editions. You try and the DC's 15, but you rolled a 13 or a 14. Oh, you fail, so you don't cross, but you get the lip of the cliff. So now you have a chance to make another skill check but if you fail by 5 or more, you got a 10 or less, well, you fail.
Right.
So there are degrees of success and failure. And just like that on the flip side, if you succeed versus if you succeed very well, not only do you get across the other way, but you actually also find the best spot for somebody else to make the jump, making the DC a little bit lower for them. And again, tiered success and failure, but it's all up in the noggin as opposed to laid out on the board.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks for the resubs, E-Man Gons and Cephas. Very much appreciated. Thank you. So yeah, do you have a preference? I mean, obviously it's heavily dependent on the other PCs as well, and Maggie's pretty much game for anything.
As far as what rule system we use?
Oh no, fuck the rule system right now, because we're gonna find the rule system that fits what we want to do.
Yeah.
What do you want? Because I'm running the game, right? I'm running the next game, right? Is that what we're doing, right? I'm DMing it.
Unless you're game for me running it, yeah, you're running it.
Are you requesting running it, or
it'll depend on where we decide to play?
You mean what game setting?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so what kind of setting you into? Like, what do you want to do?
I love sci-fi. I'd love to do a proper sci-fi game. I adore Star Wars. That would be great. I'm eager to look at Blades in the Dark and see what that world's about, because when I heard about it, the world sounds cool, but I don't know too much. I don't want to say I'm bored, because I'm not bored. But it'd have to take some really cool story to get me interested into a quote unquote generic fantasy setting, Faerun kind of setting. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the most that's what I've played the most of. So kind of changing that up and doing that again. A modern setting, a modern fantasy setting like World of Darkness, I'm always game to run or even play in. Like I'd play the shit out of a World of Darkness game. If I was to run a World of Darkness game that was not vampire or the setting, I would dive headfirst into Mage. I think Mage just is interesting to me. Basically, I'm game for anything kind of just alternative, I guess it sounds like. That's not your typical, what you think of cliche D&D fantasy setting. Anything outside of that, or any interesting twists on that, or completely different is kind of what I'm open to.
So one day I'm going to get my Mass Effect game going. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
The one from before?
No. I'm already doing that. I gotta get, because you're talking about fantasy / sci-fi. Mass Effect is a fantasy game. Very, very fantasy feels to it. Star Wars is literally a fantasy game, not a sci-fi game, but that's a different conversation. Star Wars is a fantasy setting, not a sci-fi setting.
I agree with you.
But takes place literally right where the third video game ends. Like literally right where Shepard makes the decision at the end of the third video game. The game picks up right there because I have my opinions about the end of that trilogy, and
yeah,
to do a game there, which would be a lot of fun. But yeah, so
if you were to get to choose what game you run next, like you just had all power to choose, what would it be?
Yeah. So it's funny actually, because I think I would want to go for that more steampunk thing, and the reason why I would want to do that is because one, you prefer sci-fi and I prefer fantasy. It's a perfect blend between the two of us, right? We both get all of our enjoyment from it. Somebody actually just mentioned, has Stars Without Number been thrown around yet? I've played Stars Without Number. Actually, I was a guest on Roll for it for a long while, playing Stars Without Number. That's literally the system that I use to play my Mass Effect game. I rework the rules to make Mass Effect work over there. So that's how I do Stars Without Number, and I enjoy the system. But so to continue on, my current Eberron game that I'm fighting, which could fit that, we have no Warforged in the party. We have no artificers in the party. We have no firearms in the party. We have nothing like that whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the campaign feels like a more intrigue, high fantasy kind of game than it does anything else. So it loses all that nuance that we're talking about, that you love, that I love about Eberron. So I would actually want to do, and that's why I brought up Arcanum, and I think that's what it's called,
Arcanum. Yep.
Arcanum. That's why I brought it up in the first place, is because I'm like, oh God, I would love to do a game where you could have the elven sniper sitting next to the human sorcerer. Like I love the idea of being able to have that. And yes, I understand Shadowrun is an option for doing that. I know, but I kind of feel like I want to do a homebrew world this next time. Every game that I've run so far has been prefabbed worlds. Eberron, Faerun, Mass Effect, you doing VTR.
Yeah.
Let's see what else all the other ones I've been doing. So much. I don't know. I can't track anymore.
What about what was that rule system? Was it Iron Kingdoms?
Iron Kingdoms. Yeah.
Wasn't that a mix? Wasn't that a steampunk magic world where there was like?
You still own that book?
I think it's at my mom's house.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But that had like magical pistoliers. Like that was like a class where you're like a pistol wielding wizard, more or less.
I mean, you could do that with Pathfinder.
Yeah, of course.
I'm all about learning a new system. Please don't misunderstand.
And I honestly think Iron Kingdoms was D20. I think Iron Kingdoms ran on a D20 system.
It is.
So, but no, yeah. I mean that kind of world exists at the very least. I don't know if Iron Kingdoms makes books anymore. I think they're done. We could play a super anime game, like
a high anime. See if
I'm just saying, Exalted is a one that I have.
See, if a high anime game, I don't like. I don't know if I would want to run that one or play in that one, to be honest with you. Only because the last JRPG I played, and I'm just being honest here, was help me out here. Xbox 360, like 4 discs long. Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey.
It was the last JRPG I played was Lost Odyssey, and before that was like Final Fantasy.
Did you beat Lost Odyssey?
Huh?
Did you beat that game?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. It was fucking great. I
didn't know if you liked it or not.
Oh god, I love that game. I love JRPGs. It's just they're like every character's so emo and every plot is like all the plots are so similar that I like have to like, sit back and I don't know, do something else between playing them because I'm just going to do the same thing all over again with a new character that wants to cut himself. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's. But before that, I played. Which one had Titus? That was 10.
That was 10.
So which one? 12? Was that
12?
the one that had the funny system?
It was like that weird, almost MMO-esque combat system. It was like the story was 12 story was basically just Star Wars, which is hilarious. People really love 12 though. I never played it all the way through.
I didn't beat it. I played a lot of 12. I enjoyed it. I beat 10. I played 9. 8 is my favorite. Hate me if you want. Is my favorite. I'm literally making fun of emo characters, and Squall is my favorite Final Fantasy character.
8's a great one. I liked 8. It wasn't my favorite.
I loved it. It was so good.
I think it's hard for me to say 8's my favorite just because 7 was my first. 7 might have been my first RPG ever.
My first RPG ever was Final Fantasy.
The very first one on NES?
NES.
Yeah.
My parents' bedroom, they had like a TV on like one of those cartwheely things, and they had NES, and I would play Final Fantasy. I originally played it when my mom and stepdad got married. They were on their honeymoon, and I was in there playing it because that was how the people that were watching us for the 2 weeks that they were in Jamaica, how it was that they could make me be quiet and stop misbehaving. So they were just like, just go play a video game, and that's how I first got introduced to the world of you know what I mean? So
yeah, no, and then like you actually got to play old PC RPGs as well when you were growing up, and I didn't.
Oh, what was that? I'm sorry,
I said old PC RPGs you got to play too a little bit when you were growing up, right?
Yeah, I was an all PC gamer. So after like Sega and N64, like I stopped there and went like during that time I was PC and was straight PC after there for a long while until holy shit, that's a long thing. I will read that later. I was, and then I just stopped playing video games because when I was in my 20s, I was spending time working a ton, drinking a ton, and playing loads of Dungeons and Dragons. So,
yep, that's true.
I mean,
that's true.
My roommate and I were running solo campaigns while running campaigns with you guys, and so like
in giant 7-person campaigns and all this other stuff. There was a time where like you had some massive campaigns running. You were like running like 3 huge campaigns like all at once. It's crazy.
Yeah. But it's fun though. You know what I mean? Like
well, you get a ton of experience that way, you know?
Yeah,
like that's what's fun. You get to tell these awesome stories. Like I never once played in that campaign where It was John and Miguel and all those people, but the stories that came out of that campaign were crazy.
Yeah. Oh God, that was my longest campaign ever. It took 2 hiatuses, longest campaign ever. It started at level 2 and went to level 17. And nobody goes. I actually have. Hold on. So for my best friend Nick, I made him a shadow box, like, I don't know, 2 years ago now. That's still sitting here because he still hasn't taken it home. Does that mean I made a shitty gift of just a whole bunch of stuff from like our memories, our past and whatnot? And it's actually his retired set of dice from that character, as well as literally a character sheets for like my homemade character sheets. I could actually grab the shadow box and, you know, I might as well. Why the fuck not?
Sure, go for it. I'll keep that. I'll update the. So if you're new or you just popped in, here's the announcements. Quick recap as Scott goes grabs them. We are tightening the ship, relaunching a few things. The Wednesday Edge of Morality show is going on hiatus, and that'll be back at some point to wrap up the story. The Thursday show is going to be wrapping up the storyline in the next couple of weeks. In its place, we will have a new show starting on Wednesdays in a few weeks when we get a cast together and we figure out a campaign setting. And then Thursdays will be replaced by us playing, me and Scott getting together and playing video games. Basically just kind of tightening everything up and kind of cleaning up the channel, as it were. So there's your shadow box, Scott.
Yeah. I'm most of the details we don't give a shit about. But like literally as a part of it, you got quests from old dungeon magazines that he like were his favorite ones that I DM'd from him from like ages ago. And then his 3 biggest characters he ever played, which was Neldarath, his anti-pally, which got up to level 9, Mazrim, which he played off and on over the course of, 13 years, which eventually stopped at Fighter 10, Pally 6, and Crusader 4. Yep, that's right, that's a thing. And then Ezerak, which, hold on to your hat for this one, Warlock 3, Sorcerer 3, Eldritch Theurge 9. You know what I mean? Like, it's level 15, this one. The level 17 one we didn't put in here because it was a different system that we played in that one. And even these character sheets, none of these are standard character sheets that you're going to find anywhere. I don't know if I'm in frame or not. Because I'm not
sort of. Yeah.
But none of these are standard character sheets that you're going to find anywhere. These are all homebrewed character sheets that we came up with. Like down in this corner right here, you have the threshold system that was taken from Wizards of the Coast horrible take on Star Wars. Loved the threshold system.
Which one of them? They had 2 takes on Star Wars, okay?
I don't remember.
I think it was their original 3.0.
You could punch TIE fighters and they blew up.
Yep, that would be the first one.
Okay, there you go. So the condition track modifier thing right there, like that was thrown into it. Like so much stuff was thrown into it. It was lots of fun. But that actually was a flawed idea because I put condition modifiers on PCs as well as NPCs, and that just like if you use the advantage when flanking rule in 5e, it's a bad idea because it hurts the players more than the NPCs, and who cares about NPCs, right?
Yeah.
You only care about your players. So
punching TIE fighters,
punching TIE fighters. So who's that? Ned?
Yeah, like so I mean it's been a while since I played that particular system, but basically
I wasn't there.
The build you could go, like you could actually legitimately put a build together where your melee attacks ignored hardness completely, and which meant punches, and TIE fighters were so shitty like their HP was so garbage that if you ignored their hardness, within 1 or 2 punches, you could just punch through a TIE fighter completely and just rip it apart. And that was like, there was like a big fight they were having, and he like got on top of a TIE fighter and just like with 1 punch just went through the metal because he just completely ignored hardness because that's just how the rule system worked. And
to be fair though, TIE fighters are specifically designed to be fucking garbage. They are
true.
In fact designed to be like low cost, high production machines. Like so that to a degree you want to be okay with it, but then you're thinking you're like, this isn't like, okay, let's pretend like it was steel. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, now understand that it's the future. Sorry, long ago, right? No, it's the fucking future. This isn't steel. This is a much better alloy than steel, right?
Yeah. It didn't make any sense. They kind of rectified it in their 3.75 version of Star Wars, but I mean, it wasn't nearly as broken as their 3.0 version.
Well, the worst part was and you like I don't even need to play in that campaign to know the build. You'd have like, say the puncher guy. But you would also have like one character would be like, oh, every time you hit somebody, their damage threshold would go down by 1. You had how many steps in the damage threshold? I think it was 5. They're instant conscious.
Yeah.
So one person would be like, oh, if you hit them, it automatically drops down damage threshold. Another person would be like, oh yeah. If you drop somebody, if you hit somebody, it drops down damage threshold. By the way, I have this other ability where if somebody's damage threshold goes down by 1, it actually goes down by 1 more.
Yeah.
And somebody else have this ability where it's like, hey, by the way, guys, all bad guys, if they can see me, their damage thresholds automatically start at 1 lower instantly, like not even before combat starts. You know what I mean? Like just always. So like one person go up, they hit somebody, which should drop them instantly 4 down the threshold, except because they're so far down the threshold, your damage went over their threshold enough to do an extra 1.
Yeah.
So you just 1 punch everything.
Yeah.
Like, hey, everybody.
Yeah, it was really easy in that system to have a party that's centered around just destroying opponents' damage thresholds to make them unconscious in 1 or 2 hits. It was like really broken.
Which again, a brilliant idea. I loved it. I wanted to use it. I put it into my game, and I saw the flaws of it. Flaws being you have to rework every single solitary spell, and
yeah.
Doesn't matter. Another idea of a campaign that I really want to run, and this one I would do Pathfinder, no question. Be Pathfinder. You want to talk high fantasy? This is high fantasy. I want to do a Planescape campaign. You and I talked about this beforehand. I love the idea of a Planescape campaign. And I'm actually fiddling with the idea of this kind of stuff currently over on /Delric with my games where I have, and you guys might be familiar with the Twitch extensions. The longer you view, you have points that build up. You can also gamble while we're playing. Points build up. You can also make donations. You gain points, And you can spend those points to do something. Some people do like IRL streams. It's like, hey, spend these points, you can ask me a question. Or it might be like, oh, spend these points and y'all follow you on Twitter. No. Spend these points and you can do things like give the party bless for like the session. Shout out to Midori. She actually just did that recently and fucking saved the party because somebody else dropped what I call the trump card, and I was being funny. So it literally says, when you drop this card, you sign an executive order with a golden marker to ruin somebody's day. You know what I mean? And it literally is an all stop to the campaign where everything just goes south. So the party's literally traveling to an important thing, and all of a sudden a beholder comes out of the side and like, fuck. And so I like the idea that in a Planescape campaign, when you're dealing with planar material, that things can
I would all
my heart.
Somebody actually said in chat too, and I was gonna say it as well. Dark Sun is another one we want to visit at some point. But
I'll get to that in a second.
You want to play in Dark Sun?
No. Put a pin in it.
Okay.
I'll get to that in a second.
All right.
So the idea of the planar one is that you would have these loyalty points that you can use to spend, or different ways that you can make things happen. So I, as the DM, have to be very involved in like how this stuff is happening, so I can manipulate the world, because you're so surrounded by planar stuffs, planar materials that they're always, the ebb and flow is always fucking with the party and helping the party, constant minuses and pluses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I really like the idea of doing that. The problem is with that kind of a game, I don't know how well that works with that much of an effect on a long-term format. So I would totally do like a 6 to 8 week campaign. I think that'd be a lot of fun to see how much you can fuck with the party and whatnot in the meanwhile. And we talked about this before, Mike, like months ago. But to me, Pathfinder is the best because Pathfinder, you're ridiculously overpowered. Would probably start like level 11 or 13 or something like that. So
it makes me really excited because it's another RPG I plan on playing is Planescape Torment. I'm really excited to play that game. Everybody I've ever talked to says that is like Black Isle's like gem. That is their best RPG they ever created.
It's a great game. And once you get past the bugs, but I'm sure you can do the whole, patch community.
Oh yeah, community patches and fixes all that stuff so easily nowadays. That's the great thing about playing all these old ass RPGs now, is that there's just community patches left, right, and center to fix all the problems with it. Yeah, Planescape Torment is great. I actually have it's one of my prized boxes back there. It's unopened, still sealed, of the original run, and I will never open it. We'll never open that thing.
So let's talk about the other thing for a second. Let's talk about Athos. Okay, do you know what Athos is, Mathis?
Me, no.
It's literally your name without an M.
I know, I got that part, but I don't know what it is.
It's the fucking planet. That's the name of the planet in Dark Sun.
Okay.
Athos is the name of the planet, and if you want to think Dark Sun, the easiest, the dirtiest way to explain it, think Dune. We're talking Christopher. Who's the author of that?
I couldn't tell you.
Think Dune and not the shitty movie, like the mini series if you're going with visual as opposed to reading. So think Dune. It is a post-apocalyptic D&D world set in a planet that's primarily in the desert. Okay, in which case your Fremen are represented by your elves. It's really cool. So what it is in this post-apocalyptic world, I'm going to give you the quick and dirty version of it. Magic from wizards and whatnot is very much hated, because people have been able to use this type of magic where it consumes the earth to give themselves power. And so a lot of people are ignorant of the difference between being able to do that and not being able to do that. So like wizards, sorcerers, stuff like that, everybody fucking hates you. You just don't do it. Psionics are extremely high in there. So that's where you're going to have like a lot of races like the Maenads, the Thri-Kreen, stuff like that are going to exist. Thri-Kreen being the bug people with 4 arms. Remember them?
Yep. I do remember them.
And there are, I believe, 9 city-states, each one of them run by sorcerer kings, which are like these more or less think Egyptian pharaohs, like super powerful, immortal, blah, blah, blah. They have these Dragonborn technically exist there. You can use Dragonborn there, so they're scrawnier. They have this like race of like minions that are like copies of themselves, that are like their soldiers. Paladins are not goodly people. Paladins are like the paladins of the sorcerer kings. They're like the people that like hold justice, but they're like not good at all. They're very bad. It all depends on what era you're playing in and whatnot.
Gotcha.
What's up, Maggie? How you doing?
Hey, Maggie.
Merry Christmas, Maggie. I haven't talked to you in a while. Merry Christmas. I hope you're enjoying your time with your family in Chicago. Chicago. How do you say it? What's the accent?
Chicago.
I don't know. So anyways, post-apocalyptic. It's lots of fun. My favorite part of the system. All right, Mike, my favorite part is I love playing halflings in Dark Sun.
Okay.
Do you know about halflings in Dark Sun?
No, I do not.
They're cannibals.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, technically, is it cannibalism if a halfling eats a dwarf?
Do they?
Doesn't matter.
Is that all they can eat?
No, they eat people. They eat. I mean, I'm just asking: is it cannibalism if it's cross species?
I mean, I don't know.
If a human eats an elf, is that cannibalism?
I don't know, man. That's interesting. An interesting question.
So, anyways, Dark Sun would be a lot of fun to play that system. And so the reason why I was like, hold on a second, is a buddy of mine and I have actually already started writing the rules for it. We did this many months ago, including me writing my own psionics class because Mystic is absolute garbage. But I just kind of like ran away and made it too convoluted.
As you tend to do.
I was trying to make it good.
There's a Dark Sun, old ass like 1980 something SSI RPG.
I don't think I ever played a Dark Sun RPG.
Yeah, it's a
SSI. What's SSI?
Yeah. SSI games are like. Let me grab the box.
I'm looking at it.
There's
That's cool. The picture on it is a mull. Mathis, do you know what a mull is?
Which one is it? What's the name of the one you're
M-U-L-L or M-U-U-L?
Well, what's the name of the game that you're looking at? Dark Sun.
Oh, it says Dark Sun series.
Okay, yeah, there's a bunch. I have Shattered Lands and Wake of the
Savage Frontier.
So like this is.
There you go. That's a mull.
Oh, this is a mull. Okay, he just looks like he just looks like a bald man.
So what a mull is Mike? There's a lot of crossbreeding in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
What can a dwarf crossbreed with?
Everything.
Nothing.
Nothing. Oh, okay.
And no world do dwarves crossbreed with anything aside from like extraplanar creatures, right? So no normal. That's the mixture between a human and a dwarf. They are a sterile species that are big and generally dumb and really strong and great for pit fighting and slavery. Because slavery.
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 What an explanation.
There's so much slavery. But Maul are like the best slaves, and they don't reproduce, or generally most of them don't reproduce.
It honestly, Dark Sun, the way you've described it so far, it just sounds like fantasy Fallout.
Sure.
As far as just like an idea of like a post-apocalyptic setting with magic, more or less.
Yeah. I mean, but less magic, more psionics. But yeah, okay, yeah. Sure. No guns or anything like that, though.
No. That's why I said fantasy Fallout.
Fantasy Fallout. Yeah. Okay. Sure. It's just
it wasn't technology
it's
that
really
ruined
fantasy Dune is the best way to say it. So,
it just sounds like it wasn't like technology or atom bombs that ruined the world. It was just magic that ruined the world.
Exactly. So like I said, fantasy Dune. But we actually did a Fallout game. Remember that?
Yeah, I ran it.
Yeah, it didn't work out well.
No, it was too, or at least the way I was running it, or the rules were, it was too nitpicky with like having to keep track of your food and your water and all that stuff.
We needed to I understand that while that's a super important detail when you're playing you love these kind of games.
Survival, like
yeah.
post-apocalyptic survival games.
Yeah. No, but yes, that. But like, what's the word that you use? Like for games, you have to micromanage.
Yeah, micromanage.
Like, so just micromanage games. So like that's a lot of fun when you're playing micromanaging kind of games or whatever. But when you're playing a tabletop, you're like,
it's not as fun
because
really? It's like literal paperwork.
Yeah,
it's
like,
actual paperwork.
Like, dude, I just want to role play. What the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I could totally do a Fallout game. But
we'd have to use the special system.
What's the special system?
That's what Fallout uses for their characters. Special strength, perception.
Yeah. Because endurance. That's what we did. We took the because a lot of people don't know this. Fallout was technically written by is it Steve Jackson Games system, which is GURPS. It was technically done by that.
I think it's GURPS.
GURPS, which is Steve Jackson Games.
Yeah.
But because of a lawsuit that Steve Jackson Games is going through at the time, they kind of like edged back and they were like, Bethesda, it is, I believe. Yeah. They kind of like backed off and like, we're not going to go GURPS, but they still kept like almost GURPS.
Yeah, they're like it's GURPS, but it's not. It's like it's LURPS.
Legally, this is different enough to not be GURPS. So
you keep talking. I heard a noise, and I'm curious if that was my cat trap. So you keep talking. I just want to see if the cat trap went off.
Why was he trying to catch a cat? I saw that on Twitter.
There is a. So long story short, one night about a week ago, at like 1 a.m., I saw this black figure like down to the ground, like crawling, and it was a cat, and it was like licking the asphalt, like looking for food. It like terribly hungry. So I was like, all right, well, it's getting really cold out, so I started feeding it, and I want to capture it, and I want to bring it to the MSPCA, and just like, get it out of the cold. I want to save it. That's all I want. It's like this. It's a gorgeous black cat, and he's come around every day for food and water. And I just want to get him out of the cold.
So same girlfriend's dad that used to love things like fruit cake. If he caught like an animal, like a squirrel, cat, a mouse, usually he would just have a trash barrel filled with water and just put it in there and put the lid on it and come back the next day and throw it away.
Okay, great. All right, I'll be right back. That's horrible.
It's not me. I didn't do it. I felt bad killing mice in my house. But anyways, so let's see. Frank Hebert, thank you, Frank Hebert. And Dune is an amazing book series. I do suggest you read it. I do suggest you you read that book series. Or if you don't want to read it, it's I believe William Hurt is in the TV miniseries. When Mike comes back, so there's not two people missing from frame. I'll totally go grab them so I can show you the covers because it's like over 10 hours of footage between Dune and Children of Dune. But again, not the movie with Sting. And I think, what's his face is in it? I think Patrick Stewart might be in it or something, but not that movie. It's awful. So anyways, guys, gals, everybody, if you have any more suggestions, please throw them my way. Somebody, E-Man Gons, said there's a Final Fantasy RPG 3rd edition that exists. It's a D100 system in case that's the deal breaker. I don't care about D100 systems. Actually, D20 is, in my opinion, the most flawed system, but I'll play with anything, right? So, and a suggestion of where I can get it. So, cool. If we were to go to like a anime-esque one, that could be a lot of fun. All right, so the long message. We're in 3. So WOIN is 3 in 1 kind of OLD, NWO, and NEW use the same system. Each book is different, however, containing different careers, traditions, equipment, races, species, monsters, and so on. Additionally, each has chapters, useful OLD as magic items. Sadly, I don't know, G-Man, you're referring to Burning Wheels and Dungeon World. That's why. I was like, what are you talking about? And this is G-Man. Right? Yeah, G-Mano99. Give me suggestions. Anybody else? Suggestions on Discord? Did I close Discord on my computer? I did because I was updating something. Let me open Discord. Are these personal? Let's see. I recommend doing Dread for an RPG system. It involves using Jenga blocks, which can be done through Tabletop Simulator. It is super intense because more blocks that get pulled, the harder it gets. It makes for a really good one-shots, but I recommend checking it out. There's also Mutant Future with simple rules and can be really fun for one-shots. Krendor used it for his Daikea one-shot. If I remember talking to Krendor before, what his suggestion for Daikea, when he did that, he literally just made up rules on the spot as he went. Like when people were rolling for what happened, I was like, did you really have a chart of like 10,000? So when people rolled it, did you really look off at a chart? He goes, no, I just kind of stared off into space and made things up. I was like, I fucking love you. You are amazing. You are a good man.
His water froze over, so I just refilled his water and stuff.
It's very sweet of you.
I'm a sweet boy. Oh, what have you been chatting about?
Just suggestions that people were whispering to me.
Gotcha. Anything that caught your eye?
Actually, yeah, somebody did suggest Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy system.
Oh, really? There's a Final Fantasy system?
See, the reason why it tickles me is not playing an anime, because I'd have to check it out to see if there's like a good I don't know if I'd want to do anime, but a Final Fantasy system could be really good for being that steampunky, futuristic magic gun, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it could just be a good system for our own setting,
right?
Because the difference between system settings.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Hey, gonna throw some suggestions your way. Blades in the Dark, Dungeon World, Burning Wheel, Deadlands. Deadlands, I believe somebody else already said before. So I got all of those. I believe I had 2 votes for it or more thus far, which is nice.
Deadlands is that the Western magical game? Let me take a look. Deadlands. Yes, it is. It's exactly what that is. Deadlands 20th anniversary.
What's the other one that we were just? I'm gonna go grab those 2 movies while you talk to them real quick.
Sure. The poker inspired mechanics enhanced gameplay because of their iconic representation of the American West. It's won every major award the industry had to offer, and then some. Classic Deadlands rules, standard deck of playing cards with the jokers left in for initiative. That's a interesting. Looks like an interesting rule set in general. Kind of sucks. So you guys are having issues with people who are willing to commit. It's not necessarily people who are willing to commit. People are willing to commit, but they have lives outside of the game. So we kind of want to tighten that up. And if somebody can't make it, have like a side thing going on to make sure there is something going on that day. I saw the books for Tephra at a game shop a few weeks ago. Looked neat. Steampunk RPG. I'll take a look. Tephra. There's so many like tabletop RPGs, man. It's crazy. Deadlands is like surprisingly expensive. That's interesting looking. It looks like they use a card system mixed with dice. That's really weird.
Okay.
That's kind of cool looking though. Deadlands looks wild, dude. It looks like
That's
they use
totally your system, by the way. That's totally something that you would want to do. Deadlands. I mean, remember that
me? Yeah.
You played before. You wanted to play before the
sniper. Yeah. But this the rule system looks like it uses cards and dice, like a deck of cards plus dice. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting.
That could totally be represented on Roll20 easily. Just gotta do it the right way. All right. So just to be clear with everybody, this Dune. Don't ever fucking watch it unless you are in an altered state of mind of your choice.
Is that the one with Sting?
It's the one with Sting.
I've seen that movie like 3 times.
Awful. It is terrible. Altered state of mind. Sit back and get ready for a fucking trip, okay?
I wonder if there's a superhero tabletop. There are actually a few of them.
There's a bunch of them, and there's some really good ones. This version of Dune, with this sequel, Children of Dune, are actually really, really, really good, and I totally suggest checking them out if you want to know the world, especially if we do ever end up doing a dark setting campaign. This is a great way to kind of like set yourself in the mood and get ready for it. It's about 11 hours of footage between the two, but oh my god,
that's crazy.
so...
Man, people talking about like superhero RPGs. I've always struggled to understand how that would be fun.
Superhero RPGs?
Yeah, because
No, hold on, wait. You're telling me that you wouldn't want to be Batman getting into arguments with Aquaman or Wonder Woman? You're telling me that that wouldn't be fun?
no, not at all. Actually, like a lot of my RPG enjoyment comes from like interesting stories and like building a character that starts at nothing and becomes something. But superhero RPGs, like I don't see how that could work if you just have like you're there to save the city. You know what I mean?
What
I
if?
don't know.
Okay, so what if you? There's different tiers, right? There's different ways. So let's say, Mike, I'm starting a new D&D campaign, and we're all level 1, okay? And you're playing I'm the sorcerer who just discovered his powers last week. I mean, I'm just kind of figuring things out. Don't mind the pimples on my face. And you're like, I'm the gruff old, guard that's been doing this for a long time and just decided I needed to take it elsewhere too. Like, so you're different stages of your life, but you're the same fucking power level, right? The same thing's going to happen when you're doing that kind of campaign where you're doing superheroes. You're going to have the person that's like, I literally just got bit by a spider 2 days ago. This is great. Woohoo! And you're going to have the person that's been like, I've been slowly building up my martial arts skill and working on my fire powers for a long time. And they're both, for whatever reason, thrown into this one encounter to handle this. But in solving this, they uncover there's a bit more of a sinister plot. And then obviously you just go along almost a comic book-esque storyline, which you could be like, I don't know, that only works in comic books, right? Until you see the MCU. DC still can't do it. DC still sucks. Aside from Wonder Woman, every DC movie has been garbage since 1989. 1989 is the last time they did it well. So
come on.
If you want to say Batman Begins was a decent movie, sure, but it's not a comic book movie. It doesn't feel like a comic book movie.
All right, I'll give you that. I'll say the Batman Begins trilogy is pretty good.
With the exception of Batman Begins, which it doesn't feel like a comic book movie, Wonder Woman was amazing, and Michael Keaton is definitely my favorite Batman. So,
oh boy,
Kevin Conroy technically, but if we're talking,
live action Batmans,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, just like Mark Hamill's the best Joker, again.
Yeah, animated voice acting.
Of course. But moving on. So, yeah, that could be a lot of fun. An old D6, I think it was Marvel Heroes was the name of the old D6 game. You remember my old friend Pat?
Yep.
We played it 3 sessions. Let's be very generous here and say we played 3 sessions. Now, mind you, sessions back then were 6 to 14 hours long, so it's not like it was like a minute. But we'll call it 3 sessions. We played I think it was called Marvel Heroes. Does that make sense? D6.
You have to take a look. Yeah, I don't know.
Heroes game. I used Fire Magics. What is it? J-Ton D6 Marvel Superheroes. When's this from? Got released. So it's a D6 game. Like, this is the old cover. So, I mean, maybe it's this one. Yeah, so I was reading through the open gaming license of D6 Legend when I realized there aren't a complete rule set. Da-da-da. So maybe that. I don't know. Somewhere along those lines. But cool game, cool idea, cool system. For a long-term campaign, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even the MCU can't do it as a long-term campaign, right? They run like several different campaigns in the same world and occasionally flash
spoil it,
right?
Yeah, that's true. Each director is their separate DM.
Right, and of course they have their over DM that kind of looks over their shoulder, and it's like, you're not messing with their plot, are you? All right, good. You know.
Everything has a tie-in at the end.
Of course. We call them.
Well, now Disney literally just owns everything. Did you read about that?
If the merger is allowed, the merger is probably going to be denied. Because you're not allowed to own more than one broadcast network. And so if they bought that, they would own ABC as well. And sorry, they already own ABC. They would own, was it CBS or NBC, or they would own another one as well. And they can't legally do that. There's laws for consumer protection and for things like hashtag fake news. There's laws to protect people. So unless that somehow gets jury rigged in, and I'm not going to turn this into a political stream because I can, that might not happen.
All I want is just for Marvel to get Spider-Man back and out from under Fox's eye. That's all I want. Give Spider-Man back to Fox.
Is it Sony?
Or Sony, rather. Give Sony.
That's fine. They can fuck with Sony. Sony doesn't own any channels.
That's true.
Sony if they want.
I want Spider-Man just to go from Sony back to Marvel. That's all I care. That's all I care.
Sure.
Spy versus Spy RPG. Top Secret is a Spy RPG. That doesn't... man, there's just certain things like heroes don't tickle me. Spy RPGs don't really tickle me either. Made RPGs for the shits and giggles, I would do it.
Oh, absolutely. I would totally do a made RPG for the shits and giggles. So
yeah,
I would do that for fun. I would definitely have to play in that one. I would not want to run that one. I would want to full method act that one.
Just get into character.
I'll shave the chest and everything. You know what I mean? I'll get in character.
I don't want you to get that in character.
We turn it into a charity stream, and I take the beard off. You know what I mean? Like we go all in.
You go all in. Great. And then Cthulhu would be something I'd love to check out at some point too.
So the Cthulhu idea that I have, and I don't mind throwing this out there because it was actually spawned from, I think, a stream over on /Delric, where the idea is that it takes place in the 1600s on in the town of Roanoke, and it'll be a Cthulhu game. Mm-hmm. If you understand the significance of that, cool. If you don't, Google. But it's a really cool, like that to me. That's a really fucking awesome idea. I love the idea of it. So, and there's other Cthulhu games you can do too.
Yeah, there's also people say Apocalypse World, which is that the same as Dungeon World?
Yeah. It's the same creators as Dungeon World, which is Skinny Ghost and some other dude.
Gotcha.
Wrote those worlds. I think they have a third one too that technically is within the same. I'm actually technically building my own system right now too. It's just I have so little time to work on it. When that finally does come to its fruition, it will be seen. But, not now. So, it's not the same creators. I thought Apocalypse World was the same creators. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, what about? Okay, while people are yelling at me and correcting me, so I can look that up afterwards. Did you ever see the mouse game?
The mouse game?
Yeah, it's like the mouse RPG.
Ooh, yes. I do think I know what you're talking about. I can't remember it. I can't remember the name, but I do think I know what you're talking about.
Right? It's like the little, you know what I'm talking about? Oh, is it like mouse RPG? Is that what it's called?
Dungeon World is based on Apocalypse World, but
Mouse
different people made it. Got it.
Hey, so Apocalypse World is it's a spiritual successor to, not the same as.
Dungeon World is a spiritual successor to Apocalypse World.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Mouse Guard.
Mouse Guard is what it's called. Yeah. I want to play Mouse Guard.
Mouse Guard role-playing game box set 2nd edition. It looks
really
adorable.
You're not allowed to play Mouse Guard without inviting Dodger to come play.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? You can't play a game called Mouse Guard without inviting Dodger.
I agree.
Right?
God, you know who I got to reach out to? Holly. Holly is a big D&D fan. I wonder if she'd be interested in playing. In fact, I will message her. Anyway, what else? Is there anything else we want to cover or tackle while we've already been going for an hour and a half, which is great.
Somebody's saying Final Fantasy RPGs campaign over a year blast. Oh, that's cool. So there's already things already inside there. Somebody said Valiant RPG. I don't know what Valiant RPG is. So
me either.
This what is it? E-Man is really pushing the
Terry Crews and the Rock. They'll join up in a heartbeat.
Oh jeez. Oy vey.
It's always fun going down these little holes of what about this rule system? Because then you just realize there's a billion fucking rule systems out there. There's so many tabletop rule systems.
There are.
There's a lot. A lot of them are literally just takes on established rule systems, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see.
You mean I want to play Swords and Sorcery?
Is that like a D20 variant?
It's like 3.0 OGL. That's it.
Oh, interesting.
It's like just 3.0 OGL.
They just didn't care.
I literally owned one book from that whole franchise of 1,000 books. It's literally their Seafaring campaign book. It was so good before Shipwrecked came out for 3.5. It was, and it still has so much more than Shipwrecked has. So it's such a good book. So I bought that one, but Swords and Sorcery is what it's called, right? I'm sure it's called.
I mean, there's a video game called Swords and Sorcery, so.
Yeah, I don't remember. Again, all my books are in my closet because I don't need them anymore.
I typed in Swords and Sorcery tabletop, and it came up with this D&D books. So
right. So that sounds.
It just came up with like 5th edition D&D books.
That makes no sense.
Like, so I'm not quite sure.
Maybe it's Legends, or I don't fucking remember.
I could listen. I'm not gonna say I could because I don't know if I can. But I have the avenues to at least contact Matt Mercer. The question is, would he join? Or like for a one shot? I think if we had the right dollars, probably. If we could pay him the right amount of money. You can get him.
Well, he also does guest spots and small streams all the time. He's been on a bunch of. Like,
the dude is like a workaholic. He's all over the place all the time.
Well, he just loves the idea of the game, and just because you're not a big show, because he goes on people that aren't even affiliate yet, just because he's a cool person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he adores. He just adores Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop.
Yeah, and he understands that sometimes, it's like he understands the significance that he holds to people, and Gygax didn't reach out to a ton of people, and he is kind of held not quite into a similar regard, and so he's like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna be cool and make somebody's day. I can do so virtually. I don't have to actually go to their house and do a sandwich with them.
Yeah, true. Bring Bear back. Bear was the very first person I reached out to once we realized we were going to do a reboot. But Bear is just not in a position where he can dedicate the time to a D&D campaign again. Unfortunately, we would have Bear back instantly if we could.
Dragon Age is a nifty idea. Again, though, if we did a fantasy campaign, whatever the setting, whatever the system, unless there's like a system that had its own so incredibly unique setting, I'd probably do my own homebrew world, which would work. My what's it called? Adventure camp that I have going on, Van, is I'm very excited about running that one because I have a big plot that's going to be working that way out as it goes. But the whole idea of that is it's actually happening this Friday. It's supposed to be kind of like filler. You know what I mean? It's designed to not be in every single solitary week thing because it's not always the same characters, the high mortality rate, so on and so forth. So it's hard to fall in love with it as a story when like everybody's always dying. What was the other idea I had, Mike?
You have many ideas. I'm not sure.
Too many when it comes to this shit.
Yeah, you've always been that kind of guy. 2 billion ideas as far as like stories or rules or campaign settings or whatever it is you're cooking up in your brain.
I won't lie. I'm really excited about the idea of reading this Final Fantasy system and seeing if we can do an Arcanum or Arcanum style game like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I don't know if I can handle it, but there are other systems that can, if not. I was going to say something about somebody had mentioned a system. I was going to say no thank you to that system and why. I don't remember what it was.
I don't know.
Hungry Hippos? Somebody said, what about Werewolf? Werewolf will definitively be happening. There's no question about that. Werewolf is definitely going to happen at some point. That is a guarantee.
Yep, we'll be diving back into the World of Darkness at some point. For sure.
I can't remember what it was.
Is there a Phantasy Star system? I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least like a fan-made fantasy system for Phantasy Star. Warhammer RPG.
Phantasy Star, I think I only ever played 2 Phantasy Star video games. And please crucify me if you feel it's necessary. I know that that's like such a huge like franchise or whatever, but I think it missed me, or I missed it, or like we just like, you know what I mean, like ships in the night, like we passed by each other, and somebody I had dated at one point in time, she was like huge into it, like huge into it, and that's how I came to discover that it existed. And it was one of the that, and she was like super into Clock Tower, and like again, that was just a Ships of the Night. I missed that one, and so I remember being accosted by her for having like. So I played 2 of the Phantasy Star games, but then again, she also liked what is it, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which was like such a shitty.
Oh, that was the GameCube one.
Yeah. So I was like, well, if you like Crystal Chronicles, your opinion doesn't matter. So, no.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Give me all guilty pleasures. I'm just kidding.
It's Crystal Chronicles was like a fucking weird game.
It was awful.
Yeah, I didn't like it very much.
Minutes Pirate Bug. Will I ever go over to roll for it again? I cannot answer that question because I am not an administrator over there. However, the answer is maybe. So it's a big fat maybe. There's another system I technically have. I actually own the book to another system, a system that hasn't been published yet, a system I can't tell
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew what you're talking
because
about.
I have an NDA for a system that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
That I've been wanting to play for
Since you knew about it.
a very long time, and it still hasn't started yet. But
maybe one day, Will. Maybe one day.
I think they're actually going to ask me to make the character sheet on Roll20 for it because it doesn't have a character sheet on Roll20 because it doesn't exist. It's not published yet. So, okay, I think we're
I think we're good. I think we covered everything. I think we hit everything we wanted to. And this was just going to be a kind of an announcement, shoot the shit stream. Anyway, we will be here tomorrow.
Somebody asked it, why do we dislike Shadowrun? We don't.
Yeah, we do. I have no issue with Shadowrun at all. Yeah.
I have no problems with Shadowrun whatsoever. I just don't have an intention of running it soon. Will I run a Shadowrun stream? Definitely. Will I do it soon? Probably not. You're probably more likely to see me guest spot in somebody else's Shadowrun before I would run it myself. And then we'll say the next year. So maybe 2019 there'll be a Shadowrun, but most likely not in 2018. Don't hold me to the fire on that one. It's just gut instinct. So Warhammer universe. That's 40K. So it's Dark Heresy. Absolutely, we would do a Dark Heresy.
Well, unless they're talking about the fantasy Warhammer.
Oh.
Do you not know about that?
Wait, what do you mean by fantasy Warhammer?
Well, there's Warhammer, and then there's Warhammer 40K. They're two different worlds.
I mean the Dark Heresy one.
Dark Heresy is Warhammer 40K. It's
Yeah.
the futuristic. But then there's just Warhammer, which is just fantasy Warhammer.
I don't know if I know that one.
That came first.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I know. Like with the big machines and like the strategy game with the, and you go to the gaming store and you're like, why am I going to buy something that I have to both build, hand glue, and paint?
Because people like doing that. But they exist.
I the game.
It's I don't know if I like the Warhammer world. I like the Warhammer 40K world, but I don't know if I care enough about the Warhammer fantasy world. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I know enough about it. Honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know minimum about it. Like one of the things I really like about one of the funny things I enjoy about the Warhammer fantasy world, it might carry over to 40K as well, the orcs. The orcs are hilarious because they use WOG magic. What that is as long as they believe the thing they hold works, it works. So they could have like a gun, for instance, like a blunderbuss, and it could just be put together by like a tube of metal and like duct taped, and like it literally will not work. But in an orc's hand, it works because they believe it works. But the minute somebody else is holding it, it's literally just like junk. It doesn't work at all. I love that. I love that about the orcs. Like they're so stupid that the power of belief is enough to make their garbage machines work.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But anyway, let's wrap the sucker up. We'll do a quick recap. Hey, here's a quick recap in case you're just joining in. Lost Initiative is going through a reboot. Wednesday's Edge of Morality show is being put on hiatus for now and will be picked up at some point in the future to wrap up the story.
If you're worried about hiatus, I have had tons of campaigns go on hiatus before that have all come to their completion.
Yep. We always will make sure we complete it. I promise you.
Every one of them.
The Thursday Vampire Show only has about 2 to 3 sessions left in the story arc that I'm going for as it is. So we're going to wrap that up, and then we're going to leave that tied up in a bow. Wednesday, starting in mid-January, we'll pick up a new campaign with a new cast, with some returning cast members and some new cast members, and a world and rule set that we have not yet decided, which is we spent the better part of an hour kind of discussing what ones we'd be interested in playing. Thursdays, we'll still have content, but it will just be me and Scott, and we'll be playing some video games for a while. Eventually, we would like Thursdays to be a second campaign, but we'll get to that whenever we feel everything's good and ready. If you're a Patreon supporter, keep an eye on Patreon. We're going to be cleaning that up, tightening that up, and changing some things there. If you are a Twitch sub, all VODs will still be here. That's not going to change. Twitch VODs immediately available here. A few days later over on the channel. There'll be new art, new overlays. Basically, we're just kind of give it a little spit polish, some shine, a tightening up of things, and then that's it. And I think that's it.
Okay. I remembered the system that I was thinking about.
Okay.
Is Spelljammer, which you've never done Spelljammer.
No, I have not.
I'm not a fan of Spelljammer. Just flat out, like I'm not going to go into it now because it's just not enough time. But I am not a fan of Spelljammer in general, and so will I play in a Spelljammer game? Absolutely. Will I run a Spelljammer game? You know, I'd have to come up with a really nifty concept that like really tickles me in such a funny way that I'm like, okay, I have to do this. But Spelljammer in general, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So answer that. And to answer one last person in chat's thing, if I ever got the opportunity to hang out with Avik at a tabletop game again, oh, I love Avik. He's like
Avik's a good dude,
right? Like one of the coolest people I have ever met.
Yeah,
he's so fucking awesome. I love Avik.
Avik's a good guy. I like him a lot.
Good peeps. The issue with Avik, and this isn't something his fault. We generally go live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which for Mr. Welshman is 2 a.m.
Yeah,
we'd be asking the gentleman to play from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and he has his own life to live. Yeah. While he would do that on an occasion to help us out and whatnot. Like
a regular thing is tough.
He can't do that. That's even too much to even ask. So great guy, doesn't work. So
yep, that's just how it is. When we have keep an eye on the Twitter, because when we have a cast like locked in, you'll probably see a tweet about it first, and then a video announcement at some point in the next couple of days. We're gonna working on getting that all set up. Until then, even when the Thursday show finishes up, me and Scott will be live every week here on the channel, Wednesdays and Thursdays, doing something, whether it just be talking about the next campaign, shooting the shit, playing video games. There will still be something happening here in between the campaigns as we kind of reshuffle and reorganize. We want to thank you guys so much for just being patient as we kind of tighten things up. A lot of this is just to get ourselves back on track and get things all kind of fixed up. And we will hopefully continue producing content for you guys for as long as you guys keep watching. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your views. And we're excited to see what the next chapter in Lost Initiative holds. So thanks for watching. Scott, thanks for joining me. Yeah, I know you had a great time.
I mean, I'm just trying to hold back like Lost Initiative jokes. Like, sorry, we lost initiative on this one. You know,
that's a good one.
Like,
I mean, they're good dad jokes, Scott. They're good dad jokes. We'll be back tomorrow. As far as I know, we'll be back tomorrow with Vampire. Everybody should be there. I'll let you, if something changes, obviously we'll let you know on Twitter. And if something does change, for whatever reason the session gets canceled, I'll be live with Scott doing something. We'll be here tomorrow night, one way or another. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Toodles.